Hi, everybody.
Hello. How are you, Sarah?
I'm okay. Hold on a second. I got some things. I'm using these earbuds, and one is stuck in one ear, and I can't find the other one, so forget it. Well, never mind. I'm just going to go ahead and admit everyone is trying to get in. Wow. It's kind of
and I'm going to mute myself because to keep the chaos level down.
Sure. I'm trying to find any of our fire department people are here with us yet. I don't think I see them yet. I will just say thank you to everyone who has joined us so far. We're just going to give it a few minutes. For those of you who don't know me, I'm Sarah Raymond. I live up on Stanfield Court near the top of the hill. And we're going to give it a couple minutes waiting for the representative of the fire department to join us. Hopefully we'll get it going then. They're able to stay with us for, they said like 10 to 15 minutes, which obviously they're very busy right now. So I just jotted down some questions that I think are probably on everyone's mind for people who live in the neighborhood. We'll run through those, and if there is room for more questions or time for more questions of the department at that point, I'll open it up to questions. And then what else was I going to say? But obviously we have as much time as we want as neighbors to stay on the call and talk amongst ourselves about all of these things. I did go ahead and upgrade my account to the unlimited time today, just to make sure we wouldn't get cut off at 40 minutes. So please, feel free for us to stay online and discuss any concerns people are having about the sort of things that are, causing us stress and danger right now. So I'm just trying to see if
it looks like they're
Brian
on.
here. Is Brian?
Hey,
Brian? Hello?
Can you hear us?
Yes, I can. So,
How's everybody doing?
I see you. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and spotlight you, okay?
Yeah, thank you.
Give me just a second. I'm going to try to figure out pin video. Oh, okay. Hopefully that works. So I'm Sarah Raymond. Let's go ahead and start, okay? I'm going to keep admitting people as we go because people keep joining. But I know that your time is limited, and I do want to say, first off, thank you so much to both of you. And actually, can you, so I know we've got Brian.
Yeah, so Sarah, thank you for having us. Very nice to see your face and recognize you.
Yeah,
I also have, we'll just ask if everybody's on, if you can hit mute while we're talking, if you don't mind.
Everyone.
No problem.
You may need to unmute yourself though, Brian, okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right.
Are you there?
Yes. All right. We got you. Go ahead.
All right.
All right.
Yeah. Would you like us to start now or wait till 5? We got 2 minutes. We can go ahead and start.
I know your time is so limited. Maybe we should go ahead and start. I did jot down a few questions that I think are representative of some of the concerns that are on the minds of people in the neighborhood. And I know that you had told me when we talked a couple days ago that you grew up around here, so you're familiar with our neighborhood as it is, which is convenient. So you might be also one of the better people to sort of talk with us a little bit about what we could expect. So I think one of the first and foremost questions people were having when this conversation came up over Facebook the other day is, if a fire were to come up, how do we get out of here? As you guys know, Columbia is a one way up, one way down kind of neighborhood.
Absolutely. So it's myself and Captain Beach here at Station 6. And what I'd like to do is just start off by giving you guys a brief little overview of what's going on. And then I'm going to have Captain Beach speak upon some of the issues specifically to Columbia. Does that work?
That would be perfect. Oh, and by the way, I should tell you all I am recording this. So for anyone who wants to watch it back later, we will share it. And that also means I am not taking any notes. So if anyone wants to take notes, neighbors, go right ahead. All right, go ahead, turning it over to you.
All right. Well, on behalf of Chief Willie McDonald, we do have a new fire chief here the past week. I told him I'll be speaking with you guys today, and he was he would like to send his gratitude gratitude and, thanks for organizing this, awesome community. And you guys have been doing a great job up in Columbia, and also the great community of Castro Valley. Right now, our firefighters, we have 51 firefighters on the line fighting the Santa Clara the Santa Clara Lightning Complex. And right now it's about 363,000 acres. It's about 15% contained. This is actually the 7th largest fire in California history. The fire started generally in our areas in Livermore and Calaveras area, and also Sunol. And then the fires have moved south. So that's called the Calaveras zone and the Canyon zone. And then we also have the Deer zone, which is up in Brentwood. So just to give you a little bit of insight on what our firefighters are doing, I personally, as the public information officer, have been working at the fairgrounds with the CAL FIRE team. And we've been doing a lot of really good things. We have only lost a couple structures. We have no fatalities right now, and things have been very good. So here in Alameda County Fire, we are fully staffed. All of our apparatuses are fully staffed, especially in Castro Valley. Castro Valley has some of our best staffing, as you know, here at Station 6 on Cold Canyon, Station 7 up in Palomares, Station 25 on San Miguel is a double house with a battalion chief, and then you have Station 26. And everyone is fully staffed and ready to go at all times. So what else is there? I was just going to go ahead and talk to you guys a little bit about a website you can jot down. It's readyforwildfire.org. And that is maybe some of the concerns you guys have that Captain Beach can touch on after I speak, but that's a really good website you guys can go to. Also, make sure you follow our social sites. Make sure you follow Pulse Point. Pulse Point is a really good opportunity for the community to follow what we do. You can have it set for alerts. So if there is a working structure fire, a vegetation fire, a medical aid, you guys can actually see where the location is. And that's a really good way for the neighbors in the community to come together. We also have a presence on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. You can follow Alameda Co. Fire is our website. Also, check out Alameda County Sheriffs. And you can also follow Cal Fire _ SCU for the updates for every day's updates on the current fire. Also, AC Alert's another one. If you guys are familiar with Nixle, we send out alerts to certain areas. That comes from the EOC in Dublin with the Sheriff's Office, where if there's more than an advisory or an emergency, we can ping everyone's phones in the area and let them know that there's a danger coming, or if there's a warning. So just so you know, that's a really good to follow those as well. Besides that, right now, our red flag warning has been canceled. As you know, we did a evacuation warning the other day. And when we did an evacuation warning, that was in anticipation for the thunderstorms, the red flag, and all of the winds coming into our area. And the weather did miss us here, which was very good. So we didn't have any imminent or new fires taking place. I'm gonna move on to. Does anybody have any questions for me right now? I was gonna move on to Captain Beach, and he can speak more specific to Columbia.
If you could just clarify as to that evacuation warning that you mentioned, that was for further south of here, though, in the Fremont area, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
I want to make sure no one has any like unnecessary panic that they missed an evacuation warning.
So let me explain that to you real quick. So there's 3 orders. There's a shelter in place where we ask the community to shelter in place, and then there's an evacuation warning, which is letting people know that there is a possibility for an evacuation or for some fire danger. And then there's an evacuation order. The evacuation order would say, hey, we need you to leave immediately. That is taken place by the Alameda County Sheriff's Office. So the Alameda County Sheriff's Office, for example, would come to your homes up in Columbia and let you know, hey, we have a fire coming close. We would like you to please, evacuate. Now, it's a warning. If you hear us using our high-low sirens, then you guys know it's time to leave. And that is taking place by the Sheriff's Office.
So if that were to happen up here, would we expect then to hear Sheriff's Department members driving through the neighborhood with that siren high-low going? Would we then also be expecting to get text Nixle alerts if we've signed up for them, phone calls? Is that how we would hear about this?
Yeah, so obviously through Nextdoor, I know you guys are very active. Our department does not use Nextdoor. We're looking at having a government organization page. Nextdoor can sometimes be very negative as well. So a lot of the facts don't get out. So that's why I say follow our Twitter page, follow our Facebook group, follow our Instagram for active alerts. But that will come directly from the sheriff's office. And if you don't have to be on Nixle. If it's an emergency, everyone will be notified.
Okay, that's great to hear. All right.
Yeah, you should get a push alert on your phone
Uh-huh.
immediately. And you should get a reverse 911 call, and you should hear the high-low sirens.
And no one needs to sign up for any particular notification service to receive those types of calls. Is that correct?
Not those particular types of calls, but we do encourage you to sign up for Nixle.
Of course.
Nixle, excuse me.
Nixle. So we do have there's 3 levels of Nixle. There's the community, then there's the advisory, and then there's the emergency. We really don't tap into emergency unless we really need it. Luckily in Alameda County Fire, we haven't had to use that yet.
Okay.
So, but you can still be aware of the community and also the advisory. It can let you know, hey, there's gonna be a lot of smoke today from Castro Valley because we're doing a training burn. It can talk about issues with the sheriff's office. So it is a really good way for you to communicate with your neighborhood.
Okay.
The one thing that I recommend is, especially if you do download the Pulse Point app,
Yes.
that there's a little icon on the upper right-hand side where you can actually listen to the live radio traffic. It's got about a 15-second delay, but you should have if you listen to that, you should have a pretty good idea of what's going on.
Okay.
The other thing is, when in doubt, leave early. Everybody wants to kind of wait that last minute, right? And they're pondering whether they should stay or go. My recommendation is leave early. What we don't want to do is what you talked about initially is there's really one way in and one way out of Columbia. And people do strange things when they get scared and they get worried. And we don't want a traffic accident to happen, an incident within an incident of people driving through smoke or driving through fire or anything like that because you are waiting to the last minute. Leave early and plan on not coming back for a couple days at least.
So
Okay.
with respect to our Columbia Drive going up and down, partway up our hill, there is, I don't know if the road itself has a name or not, but there is a passage between here and I think Center Street.
Yeah, there's 2.
Would those be opened for us, for instance, or?
We would try to be open. We would try and open them. But the truth of the matter is we're going to go right to work to try saving houses and property. And we're not going to, it's going to be a later unit that comes by and opens those gates.
Okay.
At the same time, if you guys took some independent action and took some bolt cutters and opened the gate or drove around the gate, nobody's going to fault you.
Okay, that's good to know. That was just a question that had come up over the weekend, whether or not one of our neighbors, Dana, says she's got bolt cutters that she'd use.
Yeah.
So
and just take a look at it and make sure you could get in there and get the gate or do what you have to do.
Okay.
But you still have to drive down the hill a ways to get, and both of those are pretty close to the bottom.
Sure.
And both of them don't take you very far, and those guys may be leaving as well. And it only takes one car to park in front of that exit on the other side to throw the whole thing out.
Okay.
Right? The other thing we could do is we could open up gates through the park to put you out onto higher. But it's 100, maybe 200 yards from Coal Canyon to those gates.
Okay.
So how much, of that is going to help? I mean, fire's going to have to be down low. Odds are, with the way fire behavior is, right? Fire is the opposite of water, right? It travels up in the path of least resistance, right? So typically the homes in the higher aspect, depending on where the fire starts, obviously, right? If the fire starts low, those houses can absolutely get in there. But, it's gonna travel up fast. So you gotta just take your precautions and get out early, right? If you get that pulse point notification or the Nixle or the reverse 911, have your stuff pre-packed and it's time to go.
So out of curiosity, obviously our community is surrounded by open space and public lands. Are you familiar, or do you know like what kind of efforts, for instance, East Bay Regional Parks has taken to, steps they've taken for fire preparedness for this area, or that, in the land surrounding this neighborhood?
I don't know specifically. I know that they do, I see them doing work often and a lot, but I don't particularly know of any particular plan that they have. That would be a great thing to reach out to East Bay Regional Parks and ask. I know that they do great community outreach with that kind of stuff and want to let the public know, and they will engage you in how the parkland connects to your land and how you can make it safe.
I did invite them to join this call, by the way, and they were not able to join. And actually, if I can ask a follow-up question about that, we have people asking if it's okay for people to cut oak trees, like that are adjacent to our backyards, for instance. Like, do you know how we would go about that?
That would be a great question for our county fire prevention.
Okay.
I think I know the answer, but I don't want to give you misinformation.
Sure. Okay.
But if you reach out to our county fire prevention, you can reach out to the Hayward office, and they can give you exact what you can and can't do. I don't want to give misinformation because that's not my really area of expertise.
Understandable. Perhaps Captain Beach, you could tell us a little bit about how Station 6 and the rest of the department in general, do you guys have a system for kind of like keeping an eye on the surroundings when there's like fire warning or fire weather warnings in effect?
Yeah, so when it's, especially when it's a red flag, that's a big day for us, and we'll get out and patrol the area. Today we actually got out, drove Columbia and most of the ridge areas. Got some new folks on our engine today, and we're just showing them the area, showing them where the hazard spots are, showing them where the canyons and saddles are, which, for us is just terminology of where fire is most likely to come from and travel the fastest, right? We had a couple of neighbors saw us and asked us to look in their backyards and talk about a little fire prevention and how they're doing and what they could do better. And, that's absolutely open to anybody in Columbia or Castro Valley, that they can just reach out to your local fire station down here, Station 6, and we'll schedule time to come up and do our best to meet with you.
And also on top of that, we did anticipate the red flag warning and the evacuation warning that was taking place in southern Livermore. So we did staff an additional 3 units on top of that. So when there is really high fire danger and a possible for red flag, we staff additional units. And a lot of times you'll see a lot of units moving off San Miguel. Station 25 is one of our main hubs. You'll see 5 engines coming in and out, and that's our strike team that is coming in to meet up and leave the area to go to maybe a possible area where there could be fire. So we do upstaff for the red flag.
Yeah. And even though today's not a red flag and tomorrow is not a red flag, we're upstaffing a couple different engines just for local government because our other engines that would normally be available are tied up. So our chiefs have made a great effort of understanding that our resources are on the lightning complex fire, and they've made adjustments. I'm actually working 2 extra days it'll be days 6 and 7, right?
It's really crazy right now. Yeah.
So just to make sure that we have staffing in case something does break within the county, that we can handle ourselves and not have to call for outside resources.
And so what kind of equipment does the department have at its disposal to do things like go into the areas above this neighborhood?
So we actually have quite a bit of resources, and I'm going to talk about it more as a region.
Yeah.
I'll talk more about our local department first, then I'll talk about it as a region, right? And our fire department really prides itself on being a regional coordinator and working well with our surrounding departments and the agencies in CAL FIRE. So us as a department, we have just in Station 6, we have a Type 1 engine, which you normally see every day at the grocery store, right? And that's just mainly for residential structure fires. And then in the summertime, you'll see us driving around the small truck that always follows, right? The pickup truck.
Yeah.
That's a Type 6. It's a smaller engine that we can get up into the hills and fight wildland fire, we can pump and roll with it so we can move and put out grass fires, and we can get into places that the type 1 can't go. The type 1's a 2-wheel drive. It's meant for the pavement, not really meant to go off pavement. The type 6 4-wheel drive, we can pretty much go any place that 4-wheel drive will allow us to go.
Okay.
And that allows us to get in and out fast.
Okay.
I mean, and what's great about Castro Valley is all the stations are pretty well strategically located, that we can get most any place. There's a couple exceptions up in, Crow Canyon and at the end of Coal Canyon that we have a tough time getting to rapidly, just because it's distance from the station, but we get there pretty fast. We try to keep the fires as tiny as possible. We want to make the fires small enough where they don't make the news.
Oh, we like that.
Yeah, exactly. Right. So just at this station, we have a type 1 engine, a type 6 engine, which is that small one I was talking about, a type 3 OES engine, which is a bigger off-road 4-wheel drive vehicle that carries 500 gallons of water and can go off-road as well. And we also have a water tender here. So we have lots of resources at this station. A water tender is a big vehicle. So, so we have a lot of resources here. Each one of them, because that's what works best for our geographical area and our topography.
Okay. All right.
And then, so I'll talk about the region really quick.
Please,
too.
I'm going to turn it over to you.
Yeah, so
questions.
anytime there's a grass fire, we'll send the closest available resource from within the county. And if it gets big, we have what's called a MSAR1, Mutual Aid Wildland Response.
Okay.
And it'll pull from the closest available resource around us. So we can get units from Hayward, we can get units from Livermore, Pleasanton, Oakland, wherever the fire is and wherever the closest resource is in, they will come and assist us.
Okay.
So we can put quite a few resources on a fire pretty rapidly to do our best to make sure that it doesn't get big.
Okay. Okay. Is there anything else that the two of you want to just share with us? There are a few questions that have been shared with me in the chat or with the group in the chat that I might want to throw out to you guys.
So I'll show her. I'm gonna share a little personal story with you.
Sure.
So I actually lost my house in the 2017 Tubbs fire.
Mm-hmm.
So I've been through the other end of it.
I remember coming in and talking with you actually last summer when this was
okay, yeah. So
kids
my recommendation is plan early, leave early, have a plan. I tell everybody for me and my wife and my daughter, the most valuable things we had were hanging on the wall. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's those pictures, it's little kid trophies, it's yearbooks, it's just that memorabilia that you see every day. Everything in our safe, for the most part, except for 2 or 3 things, completely replaceable.
Mm-hmm.
We were lucky we got the kid out and the cats and dogs and that sort of stuff. But it is a nightmare what you have to go through. Losing the house is bad. Dealing with insurance was 10 times worse. So make sure your insurance is on point. There's a website called United Policyholders. It actually came out of the Oakland Hills fire. A group of folks developed this website, and they actually go post-disaster and give talks about how to recover. But on their website, they have a lot of pre-disaster kind of recovery tools to help guide you prior to the disaster of how to set yourself up for success, if that makes sense.
Sure.
They have apps to itemize stuff in your home that, just there's so much information on it. It would take you a month and a half to get through half of the information on it. And they're right here out of Oakland. They go all over the place talking to folks. They're super nice, super helpful, help guide me and my wife through a lot of stuff. But if your guys' insurance policies are like mine, my insurance policy for our new house was only a year and a half old. We were grossly underinsured. So, and I'm not sure why that happens, but 95% of my neighbors experience the same exact thing. So, so your insurance is great if you just have a room and contents fire, but if you lose the whole thing, you may run into some issues of replacement value. So it's just something you want to look into, do some research, and it's hard to understand exactly how much it costs to rebuild your house because your house is older and you got to build to new standards, and there's code upgrades, and it would be worth it as a group to ask United policyholders to come out and give you guys a talk or a Zoom.
That's a great idea.
To help prepare you. Not that we want to go down that road, but it's better to be prepared and have the information than not. I thought with a new policy and emails back and forth to our insurance agent that I thought we were underinsured would help us. It was a nightmare. So we had to go through the Department of Insurance, California Department of Insurance, to help settle our claim, and we had to stop construction of our house because we ran out of money because the insurance company just didn't want to pay. So,
Wow.
and I have neighbors who still haven't rebuilt and neighbors who just walked away because it was such a pain to deal with.
Huh.
So, yeah, I see the cringe. So,
yeah.
and I mean, every insurance company is different. So some had great experiences, some didn't. It's really hit and miss. But just understand your agent is one side of the insurance company, and the payment side or the recovery side is different, and you're not necessarily dealing with the same folks. So, and I don't think our insurance company was any different than any others, but I will say straight up that it was a long and painful process. And we actually had to hire someone to help us through the process because my wife and I still work full time, and it would have been a full-time job to deal with insurance. My other recommendation is if you do talk to your insurance company, do everything by email so you have a copy of what was said. And if you have a phone call, follow it up with an email. It helped us tremendously.
Document everything.
Yeah, document, and say that I think I'm underinsured if you think you're underinsured. So.
Okay. Well, that's good information to have. Do you guys have a few minutes for me to open it up to some questions?
Yes, certainly.
Okay. I just want to respect your time, of course. Okay. So all right. So I asked about the trees, and we can reach out to County Fire Prevention about that. Question. All right. This is from Faith and Jeremy Carroll to everyone. It says, question, since we are in a local responsibility area for wildfire prevention, can we clarify if the outer woodlands of Columbia are the responsibility for homeowners to clear?
Great question for County Fire Prevention.
Okay, we will turn that one over to that.
I wish I could be more specific about it.
Okay. Yeah.
But it's either going to be in county parks on that outer edge, if I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm.
Some of it's even East Bay mud up there, I believe.
Right, that's true too. Yeah.
So.
All right, we can turn that kind of question over to the county.
And I will also give you the phone number for that. Maybe I'll drop it on the comments here.
That would be great. Thank you. So then, and the next question here was also from Faith and Jeremy Carroll. It says, if so, could there be an inspection or assistance from CAL FIRE on determining the best course of action to ensure property is protected? I'd love to have an inspection to verify everything is okay with my residents. Do you know if CAL FIRE does that sort of thing?
I do not know.
Right.
You can call your local ranger unit out of Santa Clara. They're in Morgan Hill.
Okay. And that the ranger unit is with CAL FIRE?
Yeah, each unit
Okay.
is called ranger unit, and the Santa Clara unit is in Morgan Hill.
Okay.
And they have prevention folks that specifically deal with that. And our county fire prevention may be able to guide you as well.
Okay. All right.
But I would not hesitate to reach out to CAL FIRE as well.
Okay, we can roll that question.
And also a good rule of thumb is 100 feet fenceable space around your house. So that's kind of what we go with. So if you have a lot of tall grass and trees, please maintain them, and also, it's important for your neighbors to maintain them as well. Sometimes it's tough because it's private property.
Sure.
If you can have a good relationship with your neighbor and work together to cut it down, that will absolutely save your home. So.
Okay. So scrolling through. Okay, so again on the question of fire roads and kind of exits out of here, Sam Martin is asking whether the fire road at the top of Bellhurst near the horse is that road usable for people as an evacuation route?
Yes, if one of us or one of you guys can get the gate open, absolutely. In an emergency, I would not hesitate if you have the ability to cut the chain on both sides to use it.
So we're talking about the road that just goes out into the wildlands.
It goes in the East Bay Regional Parks.
Yeah, that goes into East Bay Regional Parks.
So that's the top one.
I would not recommend that.
Okay, guys, don't use that road.
Yeah.
Linwood is the one.
Yeah, so Linwood is across the street from there. Then there's one a little bit further down. If fire's coming up that way and you think you need to evacuate, I would not evacuate into the wildland interface.
Okay.
I would go up to the, and the fire's coming, right? Mm-hmm. It's safer to, if you can't get down, is to find, you can go to where the park is in that area.
Got it.
If I was out there, I'd drive my car right in the middle of that field and I would sit it out.
Okay, just sit in the park. Okay.
Sit in the park in the middle of the green grass.
That sounds terrifying, but
yeah, it would absolutely be terrifying, but it beats driving into an unknown where you can get stuck. You don't know where the other fire's coming from.
Sure.
A lot of things can happen, and most all of them are bad.
And I'm glad you mentioned that because I'm not sure that's something anyone on this call would have considered or
yeah. And I would even pick. You could even pick an interior street, so where there's streets are lined up. There you got the houses on the outer yeah. perimeter, and then there's streets in the middle. I would even go to those middle streets, and it would be scary, and it'd be smoky, and it'd be hot. Mm-hmm. But odds are you'd be okay there for the time being until we could come up and get you out.
Okay, that's good to know, you guys. So,
the other thing I'd like to mention real quick while I'm thinking about it, if you guys are evacuating, mm-hmm. okay, you get the order to evacuate, you get the Nixle, you get the pulse point, you get the reverse 911. If each one of you guys can knock on a neighbor on either side, mm-hmm. right, especially if they're elderly, super helpful. If you leave your doors unlocked, so if we do have to go in and make sure that everything's okay, we don't have to force a door to do it.
Okay.
We try not to go into people's houses, but if we see something inside that we want to make sure that it's not on fire, we will break down the door to do it. And then if you have gates on either side of your house, open them.
Okay, we can do that.
And the reason you do that is wooden fences act like wicks to a house.
Oh.
So if there's a lot of fire going on and we can't get there in a timely fashion, and fire's just creeping along nice and slow, that fence will just act like a wick.
Okay.
Right to the house.
That's good.
Right. So just follow that. The website that Brian gave you, the Ready Set Go. It's got all that stuff in it, but. In the Tubbs fire, I watched houses burn down 2 days later because that particular fire incident was so big and the resources were so stretched out that a normal fire would never happen because we'd have fire trucks and personnel there to take care of those things. But just those little things make a big difference. Prepping your house is everything.
Oh, that's good to know. The question from I think Sarah Murray here is asking, what should be done to prepare our kids? Can you guys speak to that at all? There are obviously a lot of families in this neighborhood, lots of young children. We've had our own experiences in this house of asking our younger kids to say,
yeah.
Pack a go bag, please.
Something for me that's tough. because, what do you tell them to prepare for something that may or may not happen?
Sure.
I would, maybe say, hey, get your valuable stuff, put it in your backpack. And if a fire comes, we may have to go to grandma's house, or we're going to go on a road trip to the coast, or evacuation center, whatever you have to do to get out. But it's the post-fire that I would worry more about than the pre-fire.
Hopefully we won't have to cross that bridge.
Yes, I hope so too. Unfortunately, just due to my own personal experience, I tend to always think that way now.
Sure.
I don't mean to scare anybody, but I just want to, eyes wide open, right, and prepared.
It's important. This is a comment from Sam Martin and Retha Martin to Brian. Brian, they want to say thank you for your service. This is from Brett Martin's parents.
Oh, that's awesome. He was one of my favorite coaches growing up. So
oh, awesome.
Thank you.
Yeah, he's my.
I remember him in baseball. Yep.
Okay, just scrolling through here. Just a lot of questions about how do you know if you're underinsured. I think everyone reach out to whoever handles your insurance to talk to them. Insurance.
So the basic math of it is so and every policy is a little bit different, but in generalities, your A coverage is your dwelling, your B coverage is your outside buildings and structures, your C coverage is your content, your D is your ALE, alternative living expenses. Mm-hmm. So, and there's some insurance policies have either a 25 or 50% extension for complete loss. You have to read your policy. It's on that declaration page. So when I counsel people here at work, I take their A and their B coverage and I add them together. And then if they have a 25 or 50% extension, I add that. So your example is your house is insured for $400,000, right? And that's your A coverage. Your B coverage is $40,000 because your B coverage is usually 10% of your A coverage, right? And then, so you take that, you add it up. So you have $660,000 divided by square footage and say, can you rebuild your house for that much? Mm. So, $660,000 divided by square footage will give you price per square foot. And in the Bay Area, your price per square foot to build is pretty expensive. It's a lot more expensive than you think, especially if all your people around you lose houses too. Then prices tend to go up because labor and materials become more valuable, and they know they can charge more, so they do.
Okay. All right. Just moving on. Sharon is asking, what about finding safety in the pool?
That is absolutely an option. Actually, out of the Tubbs fire, it became a new 911 protocol. Is if you're in a house and fire surrounding you, they are instructing people now to jump in pools if you have a cover.
All right.
So, but
if you have a cover, you said?
I believe that's what it is. I'm not 100% on the protocol. Right. A friend of mine actually was a dispatcher who did it.
Okay. All right. Let's see.
But the open space is better if you can.
So better to go sit in Deerview Park than to try to break into the pool and jump in the pool.
Yeah.
Okay. Noted. Okay. Let's see. Let's see. Cy Vera, you're asking if I can post this to Nextdoor. I try to stay away from Nextdoor, but I will. Yes, I will be happy to post this meeting there. Let's see. Do you guys have any advice for where we could find a good example of like a fire drill that we could run in our house with our kids?
Got anything for that, Brian?
So we do have a CERT team, which is a community education response team, and they do have some videos and programs and things you can do. One thing we do is called an EDIF. It stands for
exit drills in the home.
Yep. And
okay.
What you do is basically you want to have a meeting spot with your family. You want to sleep with your doors closed at night. That way, so through convection, the fire can't reach other bedrooms. You want to be able to have a go kit, and the go kit can include, some credit cards, some cash, anything that's sentimental to you, including your cell phone. I know it's important to be able to know how to open your garage door. A lot of elderly people in the Tubbs fire, specific to Captain Beach's area, you know, the power goes out. How do you get out of your house, right? Some people didn't know how to open their garage door because the button didn't work. So being familiar with that, know how to shut off your water, know how to shut off your gas, be aware of having a meeting spot. You know, if you can, one big thing for us is make sure we can see your address. If we're coming for a medical aid or a fire, sometimes people don't have their addresses updated on their areas or their houses, and it's really frustrating for us because we can't find the house. So, you know, through the CERT team, it's through Alameda County. I can get you guys also in touch with Jill Dutchover, and she does this for a living. That's what she does, is she educates people on how they can help out other people and to have these issues solved that way. So.
Okay. Speaking of CERT, Kevin Scarberry is asking, has there been any more planning to set up CERT in this neighborhood?
That's on you to do. I think you're the perfect candidate. Let's volunteer.
Go for it.
I'm sorry. Who wanted to do it?
The name is Kevin Scarberry. So Kevin,
okay, sounds like he's the lead for it. Sounds great.
That sounds great.
Yeah, I actually talked to the Alameda County Office of Emergency Services last year or so after I got my completed my training, and they said they're working on getting one set up, but as of now, or 2019, they had yet to organize one.
Okay.
Maybe you could reach out to Jill Dutchover, and she can help facilitate that for you.
All right, let's see. Aida, okay, yeah, so anyone who's missed any of this, the whole thing is being recorded, and I will post it later on, both to the Columbia Parents Facebook group and to the Nextdoor page for this neighborhood.
Awesome.
Let's see. Let me just see if we've got anything else. Any other questions? Okay, Faith and Jeremy Carroll is asking, one last question. Considering many homes on the outer fringe of Columbia by the tree lines may not be possible to clear to 100 feet, is 30 feet sufficient with a 20 to 40% slope for protection?
I think the answer is it depends.
There you go.
It depends on the fire behavior. It depends on the construction of your home. I hate to keep saying the website again, but if you go to the Ready, Set, Go website, it'll help guide you through it. Understand the portals of your home where embers can get through, right? Your vents underneath your house, your vents up high. If there's a way to, they make new material out right now that basically acts as a like a spark arrestor on a like a dirt bike, if you will. So embers can't fly underneath your house. You can switch out your vents to those. Make sure your gutters are clear of any debris there. So now new building code has the vents that I talked about, and they also have, you got to have leaf covers on all of your gutters, so that because that's a lot of times where these embers will get up there and they'll sit for a little bit, sometimes a day, before they actually ignite the house. If we don't have resources to get up there and check.
All right.
So it's all those little things that help. Understand that if your house is completely overgrown and it's going to take a whole strike team of engines to prep your house, or we can save your one house, or we can take that same strike team and save 40 houses. We're going to save the 40 houses.
Okay.
So we like people to prep their houses to make it easier for us to save them.
Okay.
Awesome. So Sarah, thank you so much. We'll take one more question.
I think
We've been on here for about 40 minutes.
Yeah, we usually just go. So
that's okay.
Very quickly, would running the sprinkler systems keep the yard wet during an event help at all?
Yes and no, but it also takes away from water pressure for us out of the system to use to fight the fire.
Got it. Okay.
And it all, it all depends where you put it and how you use it. If you have the system, I've seen them up on roofs and stuff like that. If the system's already in place and you think it's going to help, I say go for it.
Okay. All right. And then a couple people have dropped in the chat the name of the events that you were talking about. They're called Vulcan Eve events. So I just made a note of that in my own notebook.
Yeah, I think there's a whole bunch of different brands and styles of it for sure.
Okay. I know we're going to look into that as we have a lot of those events in our house. So
yeah.
And I want to thank you guys so much for your time and for your service to our community. It just, it feels, it's so good to know that not only are you, do we have such a skilled set of professionals dealing with these situations, but that you're willing to talk with your community in the way that you have given us this kind of time. I mean, honestly, I feel very moved. So I'm really, really grateful to both of you for taking the time. I think at one point we had 49 callers in, and probably more than that, because like my husband's sitting here next to me, he didn't call in himself. I'm sure we had more like that, you know, joining today too. So again, just thank you so much.
Thank you, and just know that if you guys have questions, we're a phone call away or a knock on the door.
Yeah, we're so grateful. So grateful.
Thank you all very much.
All right,
and
thanks
you're doing
everyone.
a great job, Sarah, organizing. And we need more community members like you all around that really care. And we're very blessed in Castro Valley. I'm a Castro Valley kid. We have great fire services, great PD services. We have great schools. We're a very blessed community. And let's keep it going and really take care of each other, okay?
Yeah, well, I think this is an example of how well a neighborhood can come together to get enough information so that we can feel like we are taking care of each other. So we'll do it again if we have to. So, all right, good luck out there, you guys. Please stay safe, and thank you so very much.
Thank you. Bye.